Hello, dear listener, and welcome, would you believe it, to episode number 30 of the Six Star Business Podcast. I'm Pete Daly-Dixon, one of your co-hosts.
And I am Aveline Clark, your other co-host. It is so great to be here, Pete. How are you today?
Yeah, can you believe it? I know we say this at every milestone, but it's episode 30. It's fantastic.
30. That's amazing.
That means 60 people that we've had conversations with. 59 actually, because of the one with Rebecca. Yeah. And the two that take us up to 59 this week are Ben Newsome and Chrissy Quinn. What do you remember about the conversation, Av?
Oh, this was so dynamic. It was interesting. They were both very high energy individuals. And what I love about the universal, orchestration of who books into our podcast episodes is that it's very random, but we seem to get the right people on the right episode. And these guys just seem to match each other energetically. And let me tell you, Ben is a multi-award winner, science teacher, bringer of all things to do with science to children. Really fascinating. And something interesting about him, he used to teach water polo to summer camp in the USA.
Was it water polo or water skiing? I forget it. It was to do with water, yeah. So obviously he's got some connection with the US there. And then talk about sorry, we're talking across each other. We're so excited to get to the conversation. And Chrissy, she owns Sequin Consulting, passionate about working with people to be authentic, unapologetic version of themselves. And just talking about connection, the thing that connects us there is that Chrissy is one of 12. She's one of 12 kids. My mum is one of 12. So I know it's like being part of a big family. It's freaking awesome. So anyway, it's a little bit of a snapshot of Ben and Chrissy. What's really interesting, what I'm sure you can't wait to get to, dear listener, is the conversation. So have at it and take the most out of it.
Have fun.
Crack on from there.
I'm doing a triple check on my notifications as well, just triple checking. Should be all right, though. Yeah, looks like we're all right. You watched me miss one, right? It's all good.
Thank you. All right, well, here we are. Welcome to another episode of the Six Star Business Podcast. I am very excited on this Wednesday. Pete, we have Ben Newsome and Chrissy Quinn. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me too.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. We're going to kick things off, as we always do, by asking you guys individually, not at the same time, to just introduce yourselves to our listeners. So just let people know who you are, where you are in the world, and what you do, and maybe something that you do in your spare time as well. Who would like to go first? Ben, you got the winning hot potato.
Oh, gosh, who I am. Hi, I'm Ben Newsome. Thanks so much for having me, by the way, again. I am in Sydney, in lockdown Sydney at this current point in time, but we all get out at some point. And what do I do? Some people would say I blow stuff up for a living. Literally, do science outreach. I do science programs for kids and the public, and we have a lot of fun doing it in Australia. That's what I do. Chrissy.
Ben, I like you already. We're neighbours as well. So I'm Chrissy Quinn, and I'm also based in Sydney in Brighton-le-Sands, just near the airport, which is great. And I'm the owner of Sequin Consulting, where I'm very passionate about working with aspiring entrepreneurs to be able to experience both freedom and meaning in life. So very passionate about that. And very glad to be here with you.
What about in downtime, both of you, if you have any of it outside of work? Do you have families, hobbies, anything like that?
So hobby-wise, I love playing sports. Soccer and basketball are my main things. Family's very important to me, as well as my partner as well. And it's funny, Ben had mentioned he blows things up for a living. I'm a bit of a pyro too, so I definitely resonate with that.
Uh-oh, we've started something. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so hang out with family is the thing. I'm very much dad's taxi in some ways. So with my son, we hang out, we're doing basketball and all things, that type of thing. And my daughter, she loves doing drama. And they both do athletics. I'm an athletics coach when athletics kicks off in September. I like hanging out with friends like we all do, doing cooking barbecue. I've been learning how to do American barbecue. And it seems to be, I'm slowly learning how not to char it badly. It's good.
Excellent. I always thought Australians set the standard as far as Barbies were concerned.
Yeah, what do you want to do an American barbecue for? Come on, the Aussies do it the best.
Controversial. Well, I think like an Australian, I've had a few years doing that. Let's learn how to do it in the slow cook way. I don't know. If we could have a big. There's a controversial thing to set off in the show notes.
What's a six-star barbecue? Is Australian or American? Let's not go there. But talking about six-star, wasn't planning that segue, but hey, we'll roll with whatever comes up with. No, this is a Six Star Business Podcast, and everyone that comes on obviously resonates at some level with that concept, that idea. And what Evelyn and I are really curious about is the real why, if you like. You know, what was it that when you first heard the concept 6-star business, that phrase, that saying, that idea, what was it that attracted you to that idea and kind of held your interest long enough to come onto the podcast? Chrissy, what about you? When did you hear about it for the first time, and what kind of grabbed you about it?
So I think we connected, I would think it was last week or so, and when we spoke about 6 stars, ultimately I believe 6 stars is when your customer is at front of mind, because if you're going to give someone a 6-star review, they have to be the first thing. And also coming from this genuine and authentic approach. So with being genuine and being authentic and unapologetic, like they're my key things, it really stood out to me that I was like, wow, this is actually something really special and I'd love to be part of it. So we kicked it off, I think within the first 5 minutes was like, okay, I can see why we've connected. And then, it just all happened from that.
Yeah, and for me, it's quite a concept. I mean, I know there's a 6-star hotel, I believe, in Dubai or something like that. But, I mean, imagine rolling 6-star businesses out into every industry, every vertical, in every country in the world. It doesn't matter how big they are. If that attitude existed, imagine what the world would be like. That's what I figure. That's the way I see it. It would be so interesting. Everything from a fish and chip shop right through to a full-blown, IT integration specialist, doesn't matter. Taking that headspace of how the customer truly gets looked after, but frankly also the team and everything about it. I feel like the 6-star, that extra star would be really hard to attain in practice. And so I feel like it's something to strive for, but if we're really 6-star businesses, perhaps we never achieve it. You're always trying to get there.
Right. Wow. You just dropped both of you just dropped a few things there. Which rabbit hole shall we go down first?
Something you said there, Ben, reminded me of something that came up in a recent episode where the guest described the 6th star as not even, so you get the progression from 1 to 5 stars is linear. You know, maybe there's a bit of exponential thing towards the end. It's harder to get from 4 to 5 than it is from 3 to 4. But the 6th star is not actually even part. It's not in the same universe. It's actually it's in a different solar system to 5 stars. It's not a linear progression to get from 5th to 6th star. And I guess in that there's the implication of the light years that it would take to travel. And it's kind of always, like you say, striving for, never quite attain.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't have to be, cliched either. It's just, it's my voice goes, excuse me, but you're cracking me, I'm breaking down as I think about it. No, generally it's the first time my voice is gone. I've been in meetings all day. But, I mean, I don't know, okay, right, taking it back to discussion that people would have heard before in business. Walt Disney was quite famous for saying Disneyland will never be truly finished. I feel like that headspace needs to exist in everything that we do. And honestly, it doesn't have to be business. It can be in life. It can be in any different way that we interact with the world. And so I feel like it's kind of cool to always have that thing. It's like the rainbow that keeps on moving away from you. I feel like there's a reason why it should exist. There should be a reason to get out of bed. It's like, well, if you've done everything, what's the point, right? So there should always be another step. And that's how I see the 6-star business should be.
I love that it's also like, there will never be perfection. There's always a level of improvement. Even if you've had the absolute best standard, you've given everything you can, there's always some level of feedback or a new level of experience or something totally different and new. With billions of people in the world and ideas and insights, there's always going to be that next level. So taking ownership and honouring what you've done and a service you're providing, as well as having the humility to say there's so much more that we can do, and being open and being receptive to how do we make this even better and go to that next step.
Yeah.
So would it be true to say that in some way that the 6-star concept both encapsulates perfection and imperfection at the same time, that you've reached a standard, but you haven't quite reached the standard? There's that kind of...
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm not a surfer, but it reminds me of The Search, right? I mean, of the perfect wave. And even if you have the perfect morning, there could be another even more morning. Is that a thing? But the sort of headspace I think that's all of us can approach this sort of concept, I think.
You've used that term headspace a few times, Ben.
Sure.
What do you mean by that? It's
a mental way of being. So it doesn't have to necessarily be the processes or the products or the things that we actually do. I mean, in a lot of ways, when we're talking on a business podcast right now, business is just as much a mental game as it is actually physically doing the things that we do every day. And so headspace, I mean, rather than just being a throwaway term, which in case not to throw out there anyway, it is really part of running and leading an organization. And headspace is something that we all need to be very clear about as we go about our weekly activities.
I love that. And I love the search as well. Being on the ocean myself, learning to surf myself. But you're right, it's like there is never, you can't find the perfect wave and stay on it. It doesn't exist.
Well, that's right. Even if you nail it, you only got about 30 seconds, right? Maybe there's some rivers that go for a few more minutes than that, but as a whole, that's all you get. And then you're going to have to step it up and something breaks down, then you've got to fix it up and go again.
Exactly. So if we think about that in terms of business, what are the things that break down? What causes that?
Life. And things go wrong. I mean, as much as we want to put as many business processes in place, and obviously we do all the training and everything else, and I'm sure, Chrissy, you do exactly the same thing. Life gets in the way. Things happen. Things go wrong. I suppose it's in those moments that you work out, well, righto, is this a process problem? Is it a training problem? Is it a internal problem? Is it me? And actually, literally being putting the mirror up to ourselves and what we actually did in that particular situation where the 6-star business is now a 5.5-star business and dropping. You have to work out what went wrong. And that's really the job of us as founders.
Yeah, massively. It's interesting too because there's, as we go back like to the surf, there's an amazing saying that if you're a surfer, if you're always getting good waves, after a while, it just becomes monotonous because that's your norm. So you can't really appreciate the best of waves when you have those times where, you go into the surf and the best waves aren't there. Because if you're always on this high, that just becomes your normal and then it gets boring. So it's being able to you've got something, Ben?
You do. You spark. There's actually, my wife has a thing on her laptop. I'm going to get the quote wrong, so sorry, but it's a Dolly Parton quote of all quotes, but it's actually right on her desktop. It says, if you want the rainbows, you have to stand in the rain. Mm-hmm. And that's how it goes. Or something like that. I'm sorry for anyone who's a Dolly Parton fan. I don't know exactly.
And that's the thing, like there's always going to be challenges. Even right now in the middle of this global pandemic, Sydney, we've just gone into another lockdown, but we can either get upset about what's happening in the outside world or take ownership, and it's our ability to respond, which is our responsibility. What are we going to do? What's the way that we're going to respond to a certain situation, and how do we want to plug it into our business, into our personal life, into our relationships? And that's ultimately up to us.
Yeah.
So Ben, you work with, I'd say, are they government schools, private schools, or a mixture of both?
Yeah, sure. So I didn't actually introduce my company. So I run physics education. We can't spell ICS. We teach science. But yes, we work with the government schools, independent schools, and all sorts of versions of places where people collect in a space. Yeah, vast majority of our work is with school programs, but we also work with libraries and preschools. And what I really love is working with companies on impact programs, social impact programs into disadvantaged communities. That's certainly a space we love working in. But vast majority of our work is with the formal education sector. Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me, how does 6-star play out in a business where you're dealing with children of all different ages?
Yeah, dude, never work with children or animals. All right, so in terms of working with kids, it's all right. There's really multiple customers in this. There is, what does the child get to learn? And so our job is to make sure that when we go into a particular school or a learning environment, right, this is where we think they might be at, and ideally, even better, is actually working that out prior to arriving. And we're launching something that literally as we speak right now, like 5 minutes ago, actually happened. But we then deliver the learning program. In this case, I teach science, so we do science programs with them. And then they leave knowing a thing, whatever that thing might be. But they're not the only customer. The teacher is after certain learning outcomes from those students, but also they really want to be able to report to the parents who are also customers as well, because it's their kid in the first place, right? And then there's the overarching thing. I mean, schools it's like a multi-layered onion. I mean, then there's at a departmental level. I mean, these enrichment programs going into formal settings, are they achieving the needs of the learners as a whole? So, I mean, I would suggest that in challenge, I don't think there's a single industry where there's only ever just one customer. There's always the next one and the next one. So that's how, certainly in the formal education setting, there's the kid, there's a teacher, there's the parent, and then there's all the other things around for those three, if that helps.
Do you have interactions with all of and engagement with all of the different types of customers that you described there?
Yeah, less with the parents when we're delivering programs into schools. So we might get like yay, that was awesome on Facebook or something like that. But as a whole, for actually privacy reasons, we don't have connections into those families. We're not meant to know who those kids are really at that level when you're doing enrichment. But we do actually run programs with families when we do science parties or holiday programs at a library, and we meet the parents face to face, and we hear very clearly about what they're looking for and the challenges of their child and from an education standpoint, and then you can help shape your programs. But it can be interesting for us to make sure, are we hitting the mark? And that's where feedback mechanisms and reviews and all that sort of stuff sort of kick in. And I hope that sort of helps.
So the reviews, I mean, we talk about 6-star, and immediately, like you mentioned at the top of the conversation, there's a 6-star hotel in Dubai. So many people initially just think about, Google reviews.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a 6-star conversation, but you get reviews. Do you give them the option of giving you 5-star reviews?
Oh, they can give us a 1-star. Like it's complete. If you're really doing reviews properly, it should be completely open, third party, and all the rest. So we actually we use a platform called Trustpilot. Now, Trustpilot's not the only platform around. I mean, you mentioned Google reviews. There's plenty of ways of automating these. Hey, leave us a review. How did we go? The challenge is, what do you do about it? And not just getting the 5-star. It's all the whole way through the gamut. I mean, obviously, every organization would be striving to want to get 5 out of 5. That was awesome, awesome, awesome. I mean, for me, I always go, right, what was awesome about it? What did we do well? Or what didn't we do so well? I mean, there's always think of the last holiday that you have. I mean, I'm sure that there was we were talking about hotels. I'm sure that no matter where we've ever stayed, there's always something slightly, would it be nice if they did ... whatever it was. There's always a thing. And obviously, if you left a 1-star review for that particular place that you stayed at, there's some very good reasons why you dropped the 4 stars off. And in this case, because we're talking 6 stars, so 5 stars, that's basically 0 now at this point. So the job is to make sure that there is a way that our customers can, not just leave a digital review and will go on their way either happy or really frustrated, but you actually follow up with them directly, and then you have that conversation. Chris, is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I think it's interesting because I've always found in the past, if I'm not going to give a 4 or 5-star review for a business, I would prefer to speak with them and say, hey, I don't want to give you a review on your main website because I wouldn't want other people to think bad of you, but I want to give you feedback. So it's an interesting thing of, like, I personally will go and I will look at reviews. For example, coffee. I love my coffee. And before I go to a new place, I'm going to make sure that their coffee is good, because it's not worth trialing and erroring. I either go in there and smell it and I'm like, yep, this is the place, or I look at the reviews and say, okay, who else has said that this is good or not? So I like looking at reviews. So I find I have in the past been very reluctant to leave not so good reviews so that I can personally give them feedback and say, this was my experience. And I don't want to leave you guys a bad review because I want to give you the opportunity to, make an improvement rather than me hinder your business. So I find it's a big thing of, absolutely finding out what.
What? Carry on. It's just a lag, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, so just identifying, what have been the good things and why has it been good? Why would you give me a 5 out of 5 so that I can obviously continue to do that? But then also, if it's not a 5 out of 5, or in this conversation a 6 out of 6, then, what would be that extra next level and the next step so that we can really, hone that in and bring it home.
And what sort of response do you get? What sort of response do you get when you take this approach and just say, I don't want to give you a negative review, I want to give you some feedback? Who do you say that to, and what response do you get?
Yeah, a lot of the time it's mainly been, say, restaurants, right? There have been times in the past where they're not so open to taking on feedback and they take it personally, which I realise that's ultimate. Like if someone's not open to feedback, then you can only do your bit and you can share it with respect and courtesy, but there's not a whole lot more you can do. A lot of places though are like, thank you so much for letting us know. Or even when it has been amazing, just letting them know, hey, I just want to let you know, today's experience was amazing. And not only do you get to give that business credibility, but you get to make someone's day just by letting them know, hey, you've just to work and you've done your work with excellence. And I want to let you know that you've done an amazing job. So it boosts them up and then, helps to continue that amazing culture in a business.
Yeah. And just circling back to what Ben was talking about earlier, Chrissy, do you actively ask for reviews in your work with clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a massive one of being able to ask them, because as I look for reviews in other people, I've realized that, potential customers or clients of mine will also be going to my main workspace and doing it. Funny though, I'm having issues with my Google reviews. So every time I go in there to see what's happening, there's nothing showing on there. But on Facebook, that's where I get my main reviews. But yeah, absolutely. Okay. Because if people want proof, they want to have a look at case studies of who else has utilized your service and what was their experience like. Massively.
So, sorry for hijacking the questions, Av, but there's just lots going on for me. So just jump, when you're tired of me asking questions, you just jump in. There's something that just occurred to me, Ben and Chrissy, while you're talking about asking for reviews, is that generally speaking in business, we're in the business of helping our clients transform in some way. Would that be fair? I mean, it's true for you, Ben, with your children that you're impacting. There's an element of transformation. And how does, when we take that into consideration, how does that affect the timing of asking for reviews? Because if you ask the question, can you give me a review right at the point where they're emotionally charged, they've just had an amazing consulting session, it's like, oh God, that's amazing. And yet 3 months later, their business is still in exactly the same position as it was before they hired you, then you're going to get a different review. How does that kind of play into the whole?
You could play a data analytics game with that and it wouldn't be cool, but you could totally do that. You could gamify. If we send this within 30 seconds you could do that 100%. And you could, the thing is though,
in order to maximize your review,
yeah,
you mean?
if you wanted to do that, you could. But here's the problem with that though, is that if all your reviews sound roughly the same, and even if they're going through a third party, who's to say that's real anyway? It's kind of, you kind of want to see a mixture of your reviews, right? So in my world, this is a service-based business, so you're going to have the interaction with the website or some sort of marketing material in the first bloody place, and then there's going to be turning up to the initial phone call or the email. How long did it take to answer that particular thing? There's going to be what was the service delivery like? If it was over a multitude, was lesson 1 great and lesson 8 really bad? There's all these different things that could happen. There's all these different touch points, I suppose, and even the after effect. Even the wording of the email requesting the invoice to be paid, right? All these things are going to produce different versions of feedback. They really are. And so having just a really one-dimensional reviews where it's only, we had an awesome experience and they'll love this company. And eventually, if you read 3,000 of those reviews, it's like, well, I guess they're awesome, but awesome at what? If that helps.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I was asked, sorry, Chrissy, go on.
I was just going to say it's interesting too, because it makes me think of, for example, if you were to go to a 6-star hotel and pay, let's say, $2,000 for the day, would you say to someone when they're handing over their credit card and they're about to pay $2,000, hey, give us a review right now, when they may be happy to part with the money or they may not be? Or do you say to them, hey, give us an amazing review when, you've put the champagne next to the spa bath with a little thing saying, leave us a review? It's interesting how, for example, hotels do it is, in the room when it's lush and it's nice and people are at their greatest, where they say, leave us a review and write us about your experience. It is interesting, the psychology there of when do you ask and when do you not. And if someone's happy at that point with saying, I'm having an amazing experience, etc., then, but it is very interesting about, when do you position that? How do you ask, etc.?
I was just actually thinking just then that too, is what is the outcome of the review that you're seeking? Are you wanting validation? Are you wanting improvement?
Yes.
And that really changes what's going to happen when you're going to send them out, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's profound. Are you asking for a review for validation or improvement? And my question was coming from the point of view that to me, a 6-star business would be more interested in the review in 3 months' time than they are in the review asked at the maximum point of emotional intensity.
Yeah. I mean, the 3-star, 4 spot is a really interesting place to concentrate on, because if someone's just, I'm a fairly positive sort of person. It takes a bit for me to drop a 3 or a 2 or something like that. So my average is probably going to be 4 usually, which means I'm not a very good reviewer. If you actually think about it. But I mean, so if I drop a 3, my 3 is probably stronger than someone else's 3 because I don't drop them that often, right? But I mean, 2s and 1s, obviously something's gone wrong. 1 is no matter what you could have done, there's something really gone down because one's happened. But I mean, I kind of feel like if you sort of hone in on what did we miss? I got 8 out of 10. I got 9 out of 10. And there's something wrong. Like if we all went as students through school at some point, we knew why we didn't get the full mark in that particular test that you did. You know why. But in business, unless you're asking them for reviews, there is no scorecard. There's only like, well, I reckon they were happy. They paid their money. And that's not that great, really.
Exactly. Yeah, I love everything that you've just said. And the validation piece is really funny because we look at these reviews on, you know, you go to a website, like a product-based website, and underneath they've got this chain of reviews and there might be just one line of text. I ignore the one line of text. I'm looking for the person that actually puts in the detail. I want to know what the problem was. Did they try another product first? What made this one work? You know, we want to know the case study, don't we? We want to know that it actually worked for this person, which is the transformation.
Yeah, it's a bit like those. Sorry, Peter. I just think we're both on the same lag timing thinking. Maybe our brains are in sync with when we answer. Okay, so it's a bit like those eBay reviews, right? Where they hound you for the review, and it's like you write the one-liner that's almost saying 5-star / go away. Like it's not really what you're saying, but like they almost echo the same thing over and again. So that's really an echo chamber. It doesn't really help anyone.
No.
And it's the same thing even when you talk about that, like with clothes, for example, is do you leave a review of, okay, I've received the clothes and I'm really happy they look great? Or do you wait 6 months to see how have the clothes worn, you know? Have they maintained themselves? Because you're not going to think about leaving a review 6 months after you do something. And you want to do it while it's at the front of mind. But I love your perception there, Pete, of, you want to make sure it's 3 months afterwards to ensure that, for example, that business has had the transformation. Now, one thing that I am very conscious of is a lot of the time people might think, okay, I want to have transformation in my business. And one of the things that I do with my clients is it's ultimately about having meaning in your life and having freedom in your life. And a lot of the time it's like, well, the business was a byproduct of something that they wanted, but they actually just wanted the fulfillment in themselves. So it's like, yes, the business itself may have been in a similar position, but them personally have had an incredible transformation. And you can see that along the journey, because if you've gone from feeling pretty meh most of the time to actually feeling, wow, I'm actually feeling enlightened and my life is actually meaningful and I'm enjoying it and I've got this incredible, you know, sense of meaning now, it's quite profound. I don't believe that needs to be a 3-month wait. It's like, okay, I already know the difference right now, so let's share the good news.
Yeah.
So are you saying, Chrissy, it really depends on what that service is?
Yeah, I do. I've never really thought of it this way, so I'm loving this conversation and thinking about it in an open way of, wow, okay, this is great. It's a real insight.
Another insight, you expressed it, Ben, as a one-dimensional review, and I think that was where I was going, but your science brain was just able to get to the nub of it, is that there are so many components in any delivery of service to a client, even if as simple as Chrissy, you mentioned about going to a coffee shop. Even a coffee shop, it's like, you know, you enter and, you know, is the first person you meet, are they smiling at you? You know, if it's a new coffee shop, is it clear where you have to stand in order to order, or do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just something as simple as going to a coffee shop and getting a coffee. There are aspects of a service which could be rated differently. So thinking about it from a 6-star, from a business which is aiming for this elusive 6-star, Ben, as you described earlier, how do we turn a one-dimensional, like, give us a review 1 to 5. How do we turn that into a three-dimensional request, if you like?
Great question.
In a way that doesn't, you know, put too much onus on the customer to, you know, No one's going to spend half an hour filling out a survey form to give a 3-dimensional review. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it depends on the industry and the service. But I'm happy you went that way from a getting in the way of the customer's experience, right? I loved everything about your process, but your review system sucks. Can you imagine that? It's like, okay, right, I probably should fix that too, right? But okay, right, so IKEA, and there's a few other companies that have this sort of thing. They have a very simple traffic light system. As you walk out the door, it's like red, yellow, or green. What was the experience? Now, let's be honest, that's bordering on not even one-dimensional, but at least as they're walking out the door, their final feeling was dot, whatever it is. And perhaps maybe having extremely... it's a mixture. Maybe I'm just making stuff up on the fly, but I'm just thinking, though, right. If you've got different review systems in place at different touch points of that customer's journey that suits that time, maybe that's a way you could introduce that. So I don't know. So if you're a bricks and mortar place, maybe that there is some form of the IKEA type thing where they can just do a touch and the world's okay. And then if they want to go to a bit more deeper, there's a QR code that they can scan where if you do this thing, you'll get a lemonade or whatever it is that you do. But there are different ways to assess different parts of the customer journey. And of course, each review system is going to have its pros and cons, right? Because if you want what you were talking about before, like having a deep, rich feedback mechanism is fantastic. But if that doesn't produce results en masse, perhaps you then sort of have to work out, right, what else can we introduce?
It does. Sorry, it absolutely does. If you were to move from just getting a one-dimensional, only because that's all that's available to us at the moment, one-dimensional reviews 1 to 5, how would you, as a business owner aspiring to have a 6-star business, how would you incorporate a more 3-dimensional approach to review?
To be honest, this is a really good conversation that I've never really actually had before when it's come to my specific business. So you're getting me to think about things in a very different way. I would say I love asking my clients for testimonials, and especially video testimonials. And the way that I look at it is, if you don't love a product, you're not going to do a video and have it shared with Facebook publicly or with my platform publicly. So it's even being able to look at that and saying, within our journey, especially if there's a lot of personal stuff, are people that willing? Are they happy with that experience, willing to be able to say, hey, I'm going to put my face and do a video? And a lot of people have things coming up where they might not like video, so it might be outside of their comfort zone. But if they are a raving fan, they're willing to take that next step. So I could definitely say that goes beyond that one-dimensional review there. They're doing reviews at different parts of the journey. That's, I don't know, I'm getting a lot of things coming into my mind that's like, wow, I'd love to take this away and see what can I really do to plug in and turn this from a 5-star into a 6-star. And yeah, it's a great, insightful conversation that I've never really thought of a bunch of this stuff, to be transparent, which is awesome.
I was just imagining, those election nights for different countries, and they've got the little red or the blue worm moving up and down depending on which side of politics you like following based on the inner debate. And imagine you had that in a customer where they get to turn a little dial based on at all times all the way through, and you get to see your graph journey. I don't know, you could really geek out in the data. But the thing is, that's still obtrusive, right? Even if people wanted to participate in that particular thing, they can't use their hands now, and they're only... Feedback is also an impediment to success too if it's done in the bad way. Mm-hmm. So it's just maybe perhaps the first feedback you seek is asking the customers, how would you like to give your feedback? Maybe that could be a way to start. I don't know.
Yeah, because everyone's different, right? Some people like to write, some people like to speak, some people like to do a video or a phone call. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perhaps that's the very first thing that once you're on board, something, hey, we actually have it. We are aiming to be a 6-star business. And as part of this particular journey of us with our service or our product we're doing, we actually would like to see if you're up for that particular journey, cliche term. But let us know which one you want to do, and we'll make sure that those tools are provided.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Yeah. To have that upfront conversation about what the intent is to deliver a 6-star experience, we recognize that we can only achieve that by getting feedback from the people that experience it, but we don't want that to get in the way of you experiencing it. So yeah, let's agree how we're going to ask for feedback and how you're going to give it in a way that works for both of us, so that you get the 6-star experience and that we're improving the probability of the next person that comes along to also get the 6-star experience.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting. And I suppose that just comes down to how they engage, whether it's a digital platform when they're enrolling into the thing that you're doing, or whether they're on the phone or face to face. You just have to make sure that those systems are in place so that whatever they ask for better be the thing that they experience. And then after that, it then becomes process, and then it should work from there.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. And I think what you said before about too much feedback sourcing can be an impediment. You think about, I'm thinking about my business, I'm thinking about this, if you keep asking people for feedback, you sound like you don't even trust and believe in your own service.
Do you trust in your service or not?
Yeah.
It would be interesting actually having in this conversation, like right now, someone who is a specialist in, funnily enough, feedback review systems to actually see what they know from a data point of view. I mean, I keep on saying data, but eventually these are data. So I always like the idea of best practice, and that's a very nebulous term. Like, who's defining the best practice? But so right now, us 4 of us are having this chat around this thing, but I mean, we're sort of fumbling our way through what this might look like. It'd be very interesting having someone who actually knows this, they've lived, breathed this all their lives in this conversation.
It's also interesting as well in asking customers, if you are their first experience and they've got nothing to compare it to, then what are they rating you on or compared to? So for example, a bunch of my clients, they've never had a coach before, or they've never been to a retreat before. So even when we did ask them for feedback, it was like, hey, what could we have done better on the retreat? And they're like, oh, nothing. Like, that was absolutely amazing. That's it.
Yeah.
But if you'd spoken to someone who had been to 5 different retreats before, if you're a hotel fanatic and you love going to different places, then you're comparing whatever their products are. So it's also based on their interpretation of, if they're not comparing it to anything, then maybe it's a benefit for you. Maybe it's not so good because you can't get that feedback that you really want or need.
That's an awesome insight, Chrissy. So with that in mind, not necessarily you specifically, but what can a aspiring 6-star business do about that, where they are perhaps delivering a particular kind of service to a customer for the first time, where there is no comparison? What can they do to make sure that there is kind of not honesty so much as the right sort of perspective on the review?
So what I've personally done has been, for example, when we did our very first retreat in May of this year, was me taking time to sit down and think, okay, how did I find that from my perspective, and what could I do? Because I know my standard and I know my expectations, and there are sometimes I don't meet that, or I think, oh, I did it this way, but I could have done this different, or with a different level of preparation. I may have been able to explain something in a different way, or do a different activity, or have more flexibility in what my approach was. So just that, me being genuine and honest with myself and saying, okay, I know it was good, but how could I do even better from my own individual perspective?
I wish I could have a better memory of quotes, because they vaguely pass around my mind through at certain times. But didn't Henry Ford say something like, if I asked the people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses? Or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But so feedback is, you still have to go, right, what lens is that? You got to put it through a lens. What actually happened for that customer as well. So it is two ways still. It's not all one way.
Yep. Going back to what you were saying before, Chrissy, about your retreat and how, well, if people have never been to a retreat before, then how would they know what to compare it with? I'm wondering if this can also play into or to any business owner, being really clear about who their ideal customer is and targeting a particular customer type. So let's say you did that and you had majority of your customers attending the retreat were a certain type. Mm-hmm. Your feedback then, like Ben was saying, would be filtered based on who you're trying to serve the most. You're always going to get outliers and others that come in to your business. They're attracted to you even though they're not 100% your ideal. So let's say you wanted to attract people who were newbies at retreats, then great, then you know that already. So the questions that you ask are around that, are more suited to those people. But if your ideal customer is someone who has been to a number of retreats, they've tried other things before and it hasn't worked, then you would ask questions around that. Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So therefore you're filtering and your comparison based on that person, and that's relevant for your business.
I wonder if there's, in what you said there, Av, I wonder if there's also the aspect that one of the things that's come up on these 6R business conversations is that it's often about the meeting or not meeting of expectations. And Chrissy, what you're describing there is people who don't really have any expectations because at some level they must have an expectation either of how they're going to feel at the end of it or whatever, but there's no expectation in terms of prior experience of that particular kind of service. So maybe it's on you then to set those expectations and make sure that you, and when I say you, I mean someone in your position that is delivering a service for the first time, is that we're aware this might be the first retreat you've ever been on, so here's some of the things that you can expect. So, and then as Ben said, then it becomes process. If you say that this is going to happen, then you just make sure the processes are in place to make sure that it does happen. And then the questions, going back to what I've said, the questions you ask are based around the expectations that they had, which were ones you set in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that I sort of think about is there's words and there's tone, there's emotion. And so I kind of think about the majority of our reviews, and it's not how it can sound, but the majority of our reviews is that was way, way better than I thought it was going to be, which is potentially a problem because maybe we're underselling what we do. But if you oversell what you do, you then end up with a situation where you can get constant bad reviews going, guys, you promised the Rolls Royce and the thing barely starts. So it's kind of, you've got yourself a problem. It's a catch-22, right? So if you aimed at, just say you do achieve the elusive 6-star situation, no matter what you do, it'll always be awesome, raving reviews because there's no other way to be because 6 stars, everything's going unreal. It's challenging to then to produce a balance where you're just pushing the envelope. Okay, I know. Like thinking while listening to the conversation, going, well, there's a conference I go to every year outside of COVID. And they always ask you, are you a beginner, intermediate, or an advanced user of this particular section of the conference so they can validate what your opinions are. And I always wonder, define beginner, define intermediate, define advanced, because then you got the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? The issue of the people who think they know a bucket load usually don't know that much. And the people who are always questioning that maybe I don't know that much. Turns out they've got a wealth of knowledge. They just internally got this fight going on. Yeah, so it's a challenging situation to be in. It's quite a good rabbit hole to discuss, guys.
It's also that sharing that it's going to be amazing, right? But I love the saying surprise and delight. That's how you create raving fans. You promise something and then you over deliver. But it's not saying you're going to have, the whole world and the whole universe, but saying, look, you're going to have the whole world and then you give them the universe as part of that. There's so much you can do to say this is what, you can expect from this, but then you give so much more so that you're exceeding expectations immediately and then so much more as you go through. And
just on that, my experience is that it often doesn't need to be so much more. Often just that because the little bit more to me often indicates that some thought has gone into it, and it's recognition of that. Oh, they've actually thought about my experience or my engagement at this particular point in time, and they've exceeded what either they said or what I expected. And it's often just that little bit more that is enough to bump up the reviews.
Oh, those delightful moments. Absolutely. I was just thinking just then, actually Carnival Cruises does this, and a lot of other places do this sort of thing too. But I remember going on a very first cruise with my wife, and we turn up into our room, and they've folded the towel into some form of animal. Now, this is our first cruise. Well, I didn't know this is a thing. I had no idea this is a thing. And I remember going to the very first, everyone get together, we're gonna do the lifeguard thing, know how to go on the lifeboat so we get to survive the cruise. And they say, I bet you've all taken photos of the animals, and everyone sort of goes bright red in the room who hadn't been on a cruise before. But that was a moment. Now, the thing is, they didn't have to fold the towels that way. In fact, it is 100% a process. I guarantee you, if you go on a cruise, you will see a folded towel elephant, and there's certain ones that turn up throughout the thing. But I didn't know on my first time at all. And so that was like wow, that was kind of cool. And then I kind of think there's every single business, no matter what you've got, there's always a thing you can do. And it doesn't just have to be something over the top. It can just be very simple.
Yeah,
Great
I love that.
There.
Wow. All of a sudden, we are almost at the end of our episode already. Gosh, it goes so fast.
It's not true. Can't be true.
Really?
Like
We've entered a time warp. It's Ben's fault. He's actually a
time.
Oh god.
Time shifter, time morpher.
A time lord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange or something. Dear, oh dear. Some say I'm strange, but there you go.
We don't think
It is a
strange.
bit like entering. To be fair, though, it is a bit like entering a time warp in these conversations because, like, just disappears.
That's it. You don't know which rabbit hole you're going to go down. You have to choose one or the other, the red pill or the blue pill.
That's right.
Yeah.
For sure. So as we bring this in for a landing, Pete, have you got any final comments or questions for our guests?
Well, a comment definitely in that, considering that this is the 6-Star Business podcast, you would potentially have thought that the kind of more detailed conversation about reviews and asking and getting and basically the conversation that we've had would have come up before now, but it hasn't. And it's just made me realize that there are so many, Chrissy, you just mentioned about, pick a rabbit hole to go down, that there are so many aspects and nuances and alleyways and rabbit holes to explore in the progression towards a 6-star business that the journey can't ever possibly be done. And it's really motivated me, and not that I needed motivation, but it really excited me to carry on with these conversations, because there's always going to be things to explore and places to explore about 6-Star Business that we haven't so far. So I just want to say thanks, Chrissy and Ben, for continuing the conversation and finding another rabbit hole for us to go down.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks so much. Absolutely. I mean, I think this always goes right back to like books like E-Myth Revisited, thinking about how systems produce those delightful moments all the way through. Maybe that's a different word for it, but look, really, it is something we all need to achieve. I'd love to see a 6-star world. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah,
It would indeed.
You and us both, Ben. You and us both.
So thank you for coming and playing in our 6-star world today and adding to the genius in the 6-star pond.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was another stimulating, thought-provoking episode of the 6-Star Business Podcast.
Thank you so much for getting this far. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, and give us a comment, review.
A rating, if there was a 6-star, we'd love you to give us a 6-star rating, but so just go as high as you can.
And if you want to continue the conversation with us and all the cool people who've joined us from the podcast, head on over to apply.6starbusiness.community.
See you there.